Welcome to Catchy Gaming. This is Catchy 1383, and this week I am doing episode 9 of my Epic Store free weekly games. It's a bit untimely, I'll admit that, especially putting it out Wednesday with probably less than 12 hours before it even changes over. And I kind of apologize for that. I've been busy. Like I've said in previous videos, I've gone back to school. And I did have time on Saturday, and admittedly, I kind of flaked it off. In part because I was gathering footage for the Saints Row review that I'm planning or trying to do at some point. Hopefully I'll get it done. I'll probably work on that a bit this weekend as well. So this week's game, actually there were two, but I'm only covering one because, like I said, I don't have that much time. And I did play one of them, which is Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I did play on Steam for a little bit. I didn't get too far into the game. I basically got into the jungle portion of it and then stopped because I found the game to be, I don't know how to explain it, kind of on the boring side. But I have a thing for cats, and there's a point where she just slowly sinks a knife into a jaguar's head, which totally, one, it perturbed me, like I said, but two, I don't think any wild animal would sit there and let somebody slowly push a knife into its skull. So I didn't particularly care for that, and I thought it was kind of dumb, especially after it mauled the crap out of her when she was on her stomach and it clawed her back. On top of that, the second one kind of put a bit of a foul taste in my mouth because it was pretty much beat for beat the same game as the first one. First one was good. I liked it. I had fun with it. Played it a couple of times. Second one I only played once. It was almost indistinguishable other than maybe some areas, and they basically switched up some characters. So anyways, this is Submerged, Hidden Depths. It's from a company located in Australia. So you play as a brother and sister pair. And the sister came in contact with something they call the Mass, with a capital M. And it did something to her, and I'm presuming it's the tree root that's around her arm that you can see. It grows flowers as you progress through the various areas in the game. Kind of a bit of a kind of like Okami in some sense, especially at certain parts of the game. So you start out going to what appears to be a submerged city and some kind of structure. It's implied that her, I don't know, curse or gift, she calls it a gift, but at the intro, it says it's costing them something. But it leads her to these seeds, which have wires plugged into them, and I guess they're generating electricity. And that's why all the plants are black and red and angry. So, as the sister character, you pick up the plants, these seeds, and you take them to, I guess, a giant sort of flower petal. And when you put the seed into the flower petal, it turns the red and black roots that are around the area, or vines, let's call them vines, in the area back to green and blue, kind of glowy, with the implication that the plants are angry. So it's an interesting premise where you basically, what appears to be a post-apocalyptic kind of game where something bad has happened, and I'm guessing the cities have been flooded. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be contemporary, because they do have a structure that looks kind of like the Tokyo Tower, and maybe at a right angle, the right distance, the Eiffel Tower, but I'm pretty sure it might be some other tower. It's just supposed to sort of resemble one of those two, or kind of both. So that's the basic premise. You go around to these various parts of this sunken city, retrieving these seeds and putting them back into the flowers, causing the plants to thrive again. So while playing this, I decided to look up what it was. It says it's an adventure game. That, yes. But it also says it's a platformer. I wouldn't really say that, at least not in the way that I think platformers are, like let's say Mario Odyssey. There are some climbing mechanics that are similar to that of Assassin's Creed, but I wouldn't even say Assassin's Creed is a platformer. I mean, a lot of the climbing's auto-controlled by the player. Yes, you can tell it to do certain jumps, but there isn't really anything in the game that isn't just done by the AI, more or less controlled by the player, telling it what direction to go. But it's not nearly as extensive as, let's say, Assassin's Creed. I mean, there are some things you can shimmy across and pipes you can climb up along with maybe some vine walls, but that's about it. I'd say it's more akin to a collectathon. There's plenty of things around the area where the game takes place in that you collect. There's journal entries or diary entries, same difference as far as I'm concerned. You can spot different animals like the ones you just saw that are more or less plant-based versions of actual animals, including a whale and some dolphins. And I didn't even see the dolphins, I just pushed the A button because it told me to and I got it. So I'm not sure how big this crew is. I'm pretty sure it's technically a indie game, but it's actually a pretty good looking game, especially if it is an indie game. The colors are bright and vibrant, and the black roots with the red markings on them definitely stand out in distinction to all the green and the blue that you see. It does kind of remind me a bit of the Emerald Nightmare from World of Warcraft, at least what Blizzard did, where they had it all red and black versus the green that they usually have for the Emerald Dream. Or is it Crimson Nightmare? I don't remember. It's been so long, and I honestly don't care anymore. So like I said before, the sister goes around and goes to the main parts of the area where you collect the seeds. The brother, on the other hand, goes to the little offshoots, like the smaller islands, and collects things. The sister also does, but she seems to collect more items. Like you can collect things to deck or change the appearance of your boat. And there's usually about 9 per main area, along with several journals on each of the islands with the seeds. While there might be something similar on the smaller islands, I know there's journals, but there isn't as many things to collect. Now, as the brother, you do control the boat as well. And you can find things to upgrade the boat, such as propellers, which allows you to boost for short bits of time until it runs out of power, and then it recharges over time. As well as finding artifacts within the water that you will use to, I guess, in the future, make you a museum of sorts. But other than the seeds, they play pretty much identical from at least the amount I played. I suspect that each of them will get different abilities as the game progresses, and I'd have to play more. If I have free time, I might revisit this game and do a little bit more on it. We'll see. One thing that kind of drives me nuts is they've run... It's not really so much run as they trot at a slow kind of pace. And you can't like speed that up. But then again, that might be an ability that you get later on in the game. I don't know. I didn't get that far into the game. Maybe an hour is about all I played. Don't get me wrong. It's actually pretty responsive. And I kind of get why they probably limited the amount of climbing you can do, because if you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game, sometimes it does things you do not want it to do, like go up to different parts of a building, and sometimes I've accidentally jumped off even though I didn't tell it to jump off. I don't know. So I actually kind of appreciate it that they put a limit on that, making it a little bit easier to control. Now there's one thing they did do, and there's kind of voice acting in it. It's mainly told through text, but there is voice acting-ish. It's similar to that of Animal Crossing, where they try to make it sound like they're talking, which there might be some kind of language they may have loosely formed. I'm not entirely sure. I don't feel like putting that much research into the game right now. But I understand why they may have done this. Probably similar to that of Animal Crossing. You don't have to now translate and find a person to voice act the part in said language, making it easier to produce the game across different regions. You probably still have to do the text part, but that's probably not nearly as time consuming as doing multiple voice acting sessions for different languages from around the world. It's not a problem. It actually sounds kind of interesting. And I'm not sure if it's because it comes from Australia, you can kind of get what they say if after a little bit of time. Like you can say, I'm assuming it's probably brother and sister when they talk to each other. It could also be names. I'm not entirely sure, but you can tell when they're addressing each other. So far, the game has actually piqued my interest enough that I'll probably return to it whenever I have time. Who knows? I kind of want to know if there's more to it than what I just played, like if there's different abilities, what's going to happen with different scenarios. You probably saw in the footage that giant wave crashing through the buildings, turning the roofs back to black. I'm not sure if that was a dream. I want to say it probably maybe a premonition in the form of a dream. I want to find out what that's about. But assuming that you do watch this in time and are interested, it is free until the Thursday, September 8th. I'm not sure. I think that's like 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time. It might be earlier. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember. But like I said, I'll try and get to the videos on Saturdays from now on. Try to. No promises there. So give it a shot. Like I said, it's a actually pretty good looking game with an interesting plot line. At least one that caught my attention. I kind of want to know what happened and what's going to happen once they find all these seeds. Also, I don't know about anybody else, but the plant people kind of remind me from the plant people in the movie Annihilation with Natalie Portman. Not a great movie. It had its moments, but I'm not reviewing that. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching and have a good one.